What's going on? It's Sure Wins MMA. We're here with Matt Bilella, and coming off of his March 22nd bout, getting prepared for his fight. How are you feeling?
I feel really good, man. I feel really good.
Fight fans, they're coming into, the fight, getting introduced to you after your no contest and all of that. How do you feel, or what's kind of your mindset going into this fight after, that second round no contest?
I mean, so it's water under the bridge for me. In fact, it was the first round. It wasn't even the second round. I noticed online it still says second round. It was first round. Um, but I feel good, man. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, things happen. On their end of the stick, they still think it was intentional. Funny enough, right before we walked out, we were the opening fight for UFC Fight Pass. The um, the ref was going over the rules meeting in the back, and he was saying, and it was during the example of the exact situation that happened leading up to that situation. But the ref did say, hey, if you're a grounded opponent and you're getting punched in the face, elbowed in the face, whatever the case is, and you turn your head in any direction or you don't defend yourself, if a punch or elbow or anything slips through or grazes or lands in anything outside of the ear line, it is going to be your fault. We will give your opponent a warning and we'll give you 5 minutes to recover, or if it happens again, we'll take a point. And after that happened, I really didn't think anything of it. I thought, okay, a mistake happened, it grazed, he looked away, and he's going to get up just like any other fighter typically would, and he's
Right.
going to take his 5 minutes to recover, and we're going to get right back to it. And obviously, that wasn't the case.
Okay. And going into your amateur record, right? You went 3-1. Your only loss
Yeah.
coming in the very beginning of
Yeah.
your amateur career. Do you kind of feel like, after it wasn't, the start that you wanted on your professional debut, do you feel like this is kind of a little bit more pressure coming into this match, or do you kind of feel a little bit more free, after you got the jitters and feels out the way from the first match, kind of feel a bit more comfortable now?
I think the old saying, pressure creates diamonds, right?
Right.
No pun intended. We got Dustin Poirier going to be there, right? The diamond himself.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited for it, honestly. I mean, I don't really feel the pressure. I live in the pressure every day. I mean, I'm in the gym 24/7, training with monsters. I was in training camp with Holly Holm for her last boxing fight, and she's an absolute um, I mean, she's world class, right? I mean, it doesn't get higher level than that. Steve Garcia is on like an 8 or 9 fight win streak. He's been one of my main sparring partners for over a decade now. I've been with him before he even got in the UFC. Um, I'm around killers. I'm around real life champions, whether it's inside or outside of the cage. So I'm used to that pressure of trying to get to that next level. And honestly, I told myself that if I was going to get back to the sport, I needed the pressure. I couldn't have been some, hole in the wall show in the middle of fucking Mississippi that no one's ever heard of. That's not going to get me up in the middle of that's not going to get me up, in the morning motivated to go to practice. That's not what's going to get me to push. And then, for me, it's a very full circle moment. I have two older brothers, and I remember, being the youngest, I always wanted to be around my older brothers because I thought they were the coolest people ever, just like any
Right.
other younger brother. And my oldest brother, Kyle, was a big UFC fan. And I remember the first fight I ever watched was Anthony Pettis versus Joe Lozon, and that was like 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And from then, bro, it's just an obsession of mine where it's like, oh, I feel like I can do that. And then I signed up for a gym, at a very young age and was like, that's what I'm going to chase. And full circle moment after, an 8 year layoff and all these, medical and health issues that, steered me away from competition. Here I am making my pro debut and now my second fight with APFC owned by Anthony Pettis.
Right.
So for me, it's full circle. I mean, I don't find the pressure intimidating. I don't find any of that as a threat. I take it head on, and I want to just live in the moment and enjoy those moments because eventually, as everyone knows, you can only be an athlete for so long. You know what I mean? You can only
Right.
compete for so long. So I would like to try to push myself to that absolute limit right now and get to the UFC. And if my way of building myself back to get to that road to the UFC is through APFC, awesome. I'm grateful for the opportunity and I'm going to do what I have to do and I'm going to show up and I'm going to perform.
Okay. And given across your matchup, right?
Yeah.
When it was offered to you, uh,
Yeah.
was your immediate reaction kind of like, I'm all for it, or was it kind of like, were you guys looking to get in there a bit earlier than what was offered, or kind of do you feel like this matchup, the date was kind of perfect for what you were looking for?
I mean, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready, right? So like
Right.
for me is I mean, I left that last fight unscathed. The only thing, and I won't even consider it an injury, is, he threw a leg kick and I checked it, which is my job to do is check it, right? But I had a big like hematoma knot on my shin that I just had to have like a leg like an ice pack leg sleeve on for like a week or so. And then once the swelling went down, I was right back in the gym. I didn't have any injuries after the fight. I actually went into that fight more injured than I left the fight. Um, that's a whole nother thing that like I haven't even spoken about. And if
Right.
people even knew how I went into that fight on my debut after an 8-year layoff, people would be like, "You're out of your fucking mind." Because the injuries I had leading into that was kind of like I had about the doctor. I spoke with a doctor. A doctor was like, "Hey, I think you should pull out of this fight." Um, and I had to speak with, close friends and family, and I had to make the decision. Do I take this opportunity and see what happens with this opportunity right now?
Hmm.
Um, or do I pull out and then maybe APFC doesn't take me serious and then it's going to be harder for me to find fights because of my 8-year layoff. It was very hard for me to find my first pro debut
Right.
because they looked at my social media. Oh, he's got a big social media following. So every matchup they wanted to give me was their 5-0 guy and their 6-1 D1 wrestler on 2 weeks notice, or it was opportunities with LFA or these other organizations on literally like, I mean, 2 weeks or less notice. Hey, can you cut 30 fucking pounds and show up in the middle of fucking Dakota, North Dakota, to fight our fucking, D1 star that we're trying to build up and get to the UFC. And it's like, bro, I haven't fought in 8 years and I'm making my pro debut. And that's who you're trying to send me to. Like, they're trying to send me to the Wolves. And it's just like, I'm not against it, bro. But for a fucking, I don't get paid by the hour. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, what are we doing this for? $800? Like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm trying to build my career, but you're trying to build your guy's career. This game is full of politics. It really is. You know what I mean? To go back to your question about time, I see. I mean, time is something we don't get back, right? So I could sit
Right.
here and say, "Oh, I wanted to fight, but I wanted 4 months." Well, there's only fucking 12 months in the year, right? What happens if you wait 4 months and then you fight this guy and the guy pulls out the week of, and now you waited 4 months for that matchup and didn't work out, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
now I'm waiting another 4 months for the next fight. It's just that's how your career ends up going nowhere. So for me, is this last APFC card I was supposed to be on. Um, and we had some issues with opponents, and I agreed to two different opponents. We couldn't make it happen in time. One of them, I guess, to my understanding, verbally agreed to it, but then no response when it was time to sign contracts or do anything, went MIA. Then they were trying to find me some last minute, and it's just everything felt very, very rushed. Where my coach is like, "How are we going to build a game plan on anybody if we have somebody and a week later they're changing it, and then 2 weeks later, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just it just was too sporadic, I guess. Now granted, if it's the Contender Series or the UFC or an APFC title fight, we could take that on a week or two's notice because we want those opportunities, right? But
Right.
again, to make $800, make $1,000 and just kind of walk into a fight after you've sold, thousands of dollars in tickets, or, you've promoted it on social media, you've done everything that you can do in your own power. And then it's just going back and forth changing. It's just, that's the part of the game that becomes draining. It's not even the training. I mean, last year alone, dude, I had 9 verbal agreements on fights, nine for a pro debut, and not one of them went through. Nine. So for me, it's like that's the most draining part is we
Right.
find an opponent that actually makes sense where we're like, okay, this is a decently fair matchup. And then, 3 weeks prior to the fight, 4 weeks prior to the fight, sorry, we can't, this guy pulled out, we're finding you someone else. And then they go MIA and I don't hear anything. And then the week of the fight, oh, just FYI, we couldn't find you someone, you're not fighting. Well, obviously, that's what I assume. I haven't heard from you dickheads in how long? And now all of a sudden you want to tell me that I'm not fighting? Obviously, you know?
No, yeah.
So, it's the shit end of the stick sometimes, but you just got to be ready for all opportunities. And if the opportunity presents itself and it makes sense, then I'm there.
Like, I could only imagine, bro. I mean, like, especially with you getting 9 verbal agreements and not even having one opponent come up. I mean,
Yep.
that really is kind of frustrating, especially with you trying to
Yep.
build your career and kind of get
Yep.
get some, some wins under your belt.
The only opportunities that would come my direction that actually wouldn't fall through were the guys that were calling me on 2 weeks notice to fight their guy that was a D1 wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah,
it had nothing to do with the record. It had everything to do with the fact that I had a social media presence and they wanted to use my social media presence as marketing
build off.
towards, the buildup of the
Yeah,
fight to say, oh, so and so beat, so and so, and he's got X amount of followers and attention. And you know what I mean?
no, yeah.
And that's what it was. It was trying to grab attention and fuck them.
I mean, at that point, kind of the risk isn't really worth what the reward would have been.
No, because I built this shit from the ground up. Go ahead and build it yourself, and you haven't. So whose fault is that?
No, yeah,
Your
for sure.
bum ass or my problem? You know what I mean? That's your problem, not mine. So
And kind of going into this fight camp and compared to your
yeah,
previous fights and everything, kind of what would you say your mindset is going into this?
just hungrier than ever, man. Just hungrier than ever. I've always felt like I've had a chip on my shoulder. I'll always say that I've never been the most naturally talented. And what I mean by that is there's some guys, man, straight out the fucking womb, that they're going to be freak athletes and they're 12 years old and they're prodigies. And you're just like, oh, this kid's going to be a fucking stud. I was never that kid. I was the kid that if practice started at 8, I was there at 7. And if practice ended at 4, I was drilling with people till 5. So I was the first to show up and the last to leave and always the one grinding. Even during my health issues when I wasn't competing, I was in the gym the entire time, battling health issues while still training. I was with, Steve Garcia during all of his training camps. I would say 70% of his training camps, I was in the gym with him the entire time, even though I had these issues going on behind the scenes. So for me, I'm just hungrier than ever, man. I'm grateful, that God has given me the opportunity to be healthy enough to start competing again. I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted. I'm appreciative of all my coaches who have stuck by my side, my friends, my family, who have been on this crazy roller coaster of a ride with me and know how much I've sacrificed to be in this position to get back to my career. Because there's some people, man, you see it. There's freak athletes who are like, you know, one day they're fucking, NBA stars and then they're boxing stars. And then the next week they're in the UFC. You're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah,
how? And it's like, no injuries, no nothing. Just some people are just freakishly like that. You know what I mean? There are
yeah,
people that have never had a surgery in their life. They've never had an injury in their life. They've never been cut a day in their life. And it's just like, how have you gone through this sport out of all sports with zero injuries? You look at John Jones. Like John Jones had that pectoral tear that was at the end of his career when he was like already like retired. You know what I mean?
already done with, already.
Like he was already done and he ran through the entire sport, bro, for what, 20 years?
Yeah,
Nearly like almost 2 decades of, competition and had zero injuries, surgeries. They're just some people are just freakish athletes like that, and they're able to sustain a little bit more than others. Unfortunately, I've had the bitter end of the stick where I've had my health issues that were out of my control that I couldn't do anything about. That the athletic commission wouldn't pass me, wouldn't allow me to compete because of those things that were out of my control. But the only thing that was in my control was, okay, is that going to define me, or am I still going to show up to the gym, continue to get better, try to stay as healthy as possible, that maybe this problem resolves itself. And when it does, I'm ready to compete. And so here I am. I have that chip on my shoulder. I have that feeling in my gut that everyone doubted me, and it fuels the fire for me. It sets that fire under my ass to show up to the gym early, to leave practice, ask as many questions as I can with my coaches, to spar as many hard rounds with the best guys in the world and the best women in the world, and just continue to grow as a person, as an athlete.
Okay, so they kind of like March 22nd is going to be a night to kind of prove yourself for the past
Yeah,
kind of all the last 7 years of the injuries and everything you've gone through type thing. You know, you're not
for
only just battling the opponent, but you're
for sure.
battling all of that.
Man, I'm battling my own inner demons, man. We all have them, right?
Right.
I
That's
mean,
true.
nobody's perfect, right? I mean, in this sport, especially if you're in this sport, there's a screw loose. That's just the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
You don't go into this sport and then go and pick flowers on the weekends. It's just that's not the mentality of the people that are in this sport, right? We're all a little
Yeah.
sick and twisted and fucked up individuals and have our own demons that we're fighting. But by the grace of God, we continue to get up, we continue to be blessed, and we put our right foot forward, and we continue to grow to a better version of ourselves. And I think March 22nd there is going to be so much more fireworks than the previous fight. I mean, that previous fight, the game plan was to strike, and then after a serious injury, if you want to even go into that, we can. But I mean, after that injury, the game plan was either, hey, you can't take damage right now, so finish the round with a takedown, hold position to secure the round, or you're gonna have to pull out of the fight. You know what I mean? That those are the decisions you have right now. So it wasn't the style of fighting that everyone expects from me. Um, but I think on the upside though, the benefit, the factor I can look at that makes a good point is that people know me as a striker. They know me as someone who's always trying to finish fights and talk shit and be exciting and all that. That's what they love about me. Um, but it showed that I can grapple. It showed that I can take people down. People are like, oh, he can't wrestle. I'm like, bro, who are you talking to? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is MMA, dog. This isn't fucking boxing. This isn't kickboxing. If I wanted to do some fucking bullshit like that, dude, I'd be in the influencer boxing world, but I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm in a sport where, you know, this shit's brutal, man. I mean, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. I
One,
mean, it's not a game, it's a
this isn't a game. Boxing's a game. You can play boxing sometimes. You know what I mean? Now, granted, can you play boxing with Canelo and Crawford and these top level guys? No, but at the level that I am in my realm of the sport, you still can't play MMA. You can play boxing. You can get away with it. Look at boxers, man. You see these guys and they're like 21-0, and you're like, damn, bro. And then you look, and the guys that they fought, their total record's like 3 wins and 97 losses. It's like,
yeah.
oh, well, that's why they're 20-0. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure.
But like, bro, we got fucking shin bones flying at our skulls. You know what I mean? Like,
Fucking
there's just too much
elbow
at
and
stake for you to, you know what I mean? Elbows, fucking knees, kicks, punches, like you name it. I could dump you on your head. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's,
it's a whole different universe, you know. It's a whole
yeah,
different
it's a different universe, and there's a reason why boxers stick to boxing and they never come to MMA, and MMA guys got to go there.
right.
Because you look at these guys, man. You look at like a Crawford, and you look at like a Canelo or like a Ryan Garcia, and I'm just naming them because that's who the public eye knows
Top
because they're
names,
big
yeah,
names,
one of
right?
them.
They're the Conor McGregors and the John Joneses and the Holly Holmes. Those are the names that have stardom behind them, meaning you don't have to watch the sport to know who they are. Their names, are known in a room, even with people that don't know the sport. Um, but I mean, at the end of the day, let's say this, dude. Let's throw Crawford, Canelo, and Ryan Garcia inside of a room, right?
Hmm.
And you got Ilya Taporia or Max Holloway or Justin Gaethje or any of these guys. Who do you think's making the bed? It ain't Max Holloway. It's not Justin Gaethje. It's gonna be Crawford and Canelo and Ryan Garcia. You know what I mean? They're
No,
not taking no leg kick, head kick, knee, elbows dumped on their head. They're not doing that. They're gonna be the ones making the bed. That's why there's real fighting and then there's boxing. And boxing is still real fighting, but it's a selective form of fighting. You know what I mean?
right.
It's one dimensional. You have all this time to focus on your footwork, your defense, your offense, and and
And
your movement.
yeah,
But like we have to fit all that in the same 24 hours as them, but with wrestling, with grappling, with ground and pound, with striking, with elbows, with knees, you know what I mean? With defensive wrestling. I mean, the list goes on. So
okay. And you know, going into this fight camp as well, there's
Yeah.
usually it brings out challenges for fighters and all that. Has there been any
Yeah.
challenges have you that you've experienced so far during this camp, or do you kind of feel like everything's kind of how it should be going, how you expected it to go?
You know what's funny? I never have high expectations of a camp because like if you train hard like I do or like these guys at the top level do, you're almost guaranteed to run into something. Weeks out, 3.5 weeks out.
Yeah,
This is I haven't ran into anything, which is so odd for me. You know, like every camp, every fight I've gone into, like even the last fight, man, I did like an interview and they asked a similar question, and I was like, dude, like I feel great. And then of course, about 9 days out from the fight is when something happened, and I was like, fuck, man, I spoke too soon. So I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak
yeah.
too soon
Knock
right
on wood,
now,
knock on
but
wood, man.
knock on wood, man. But at this very moment, man, I feel great. I feel incredible. My weight's exactly where I want it to be. My strength this fight camp is up like almost about 30% roughly from my last fight camp, which is significant numbers, obviously. Um, Punching power, my head's clear. I mean, again, like when you go into a fight with an injury, you even as a fighter, you know in the back of your head, like, fuck, man, I still have this issue, you know?
Right.
So you're not, I don't want to say worried, but you're conscious of it. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah, it's
like,
constantly like something in the back of your mind.
yes. And like, again, we're fighters. You fight through shit, right? I mean,
Right.
but also in life too, you fight through shit. Shit happens. You have to find your way through it. You know what I mean?
You want to do it, yep.
So nothing I can't handle, but it's much easier going into a fight where every game plan can work to your benefit because there's no limitation. There's no, oh, well, if I get in this position, I'm kind of fucked because of this little injury. Or if
Yeah.
I get in this position, this might cause this reaction that I don't want because of this injury. Or, hey, we're switching the whole fucking game plan, dude, on a week's notice. You know what I mean?
And I
And
gotta
it's
go.
either that or pull out. And I'm not pulling out, dude. I don't pull out in fights and I don't pull out in real life. So here we are.
Gotta go to plan C and everything.
Yep. Fucking nuts. But I mean, that's the name of the game. I mean, that's what I signed up for, though. So I did it to myself.
Okay, and going into your matchup for the 22nd, and you talking
Yeah.
about how, your debut, you were coming off of like into it injured a bit and having like some challenges to deal with. Do you feel like this matchup it'll be like a complete whole different fighter that they're going to be seeing in the cage on the 22nd, or what do you think is going to stand out the most from you?
I, I believe so. I think people are going to be surprised at how much I sit right there in this center pocket. I point to the ground and let them know what's up. Like, who wants to take the first step back? It's not going to be me.
Right.
I think they're going to be very surprised at how good my wrestling and grappling actually is. And that's what, in most people's eyes, are my weak points. People
Mhm.
take fights with me because they're like, "Oh, he can't wrestle, he can't grapple." That's because they go off of one fight in 2015 or 14 during my MMA debut
Right.
against a dude, which is my first amateur loss. Which to go on to run back the context of that fight very quickly is I competed in boxing and kickboxing prior to that. I was predominantly only a boxer and kickboxer. I had no business in MMA. Okay.
And without revealing too much of your game
Yeah.
plan, where do you feel you hold the biggest advantage over your opponent on March 22nd?
Every position. Every position. Truly. I mean truly. And I don't say that from like a bad perspective. I actually think the kid's tough. I mean, granted, his record doesn't prove that. I know that. Um, but what I think people don't understand too, though, is you look at his record and he's fighting a lot of short notice fights, a lot of short notice fights. Okay. He's also taking fights at 190 pounds, 185 pounds, 175 pounds. He's taking fights at very heavy weight classes. And then when you watch this guy fight, he's fighting dudes that look ginormous compared to him, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not very hard to finish a fighter or win a fight against someone that's 30 or 40 pounds heavier than you, frame wise. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's like me going in there with a 205er and expecting to not get finished or to have an easy win. How am I going to have an easy win against someone that's got 40, 50 pounds on me? Right.
Right.
So I think where he lacked is I think my opponent didn't have the right direction as far as management, whether it's the gym, etc. I don't take his record lightly. I don't look at his record and go, "Oh, that's an easy fight." I still show up to the gym as if he's a world champion. I still treat this as if this is like my UFC debut or like my UFC title fight, right?
Okay.
Um, I would be actually less concerned if he was a 5-0 guy and I looked at his record and he was 5-0 and the guys he fought were all tomato cans, because that tells me that he has a big ego, you know, and it tells me that he has this tendency of trying to pick easy opponents in order to fulfill his career, right?
Right.
So that almost makes me feel more confident going into a fight against someone like that, because they've actually have gone out of their way to find the easiest opportunities so that they don't ever have to, swim in deep waters, I guess you can say, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of fighters, man, out there that are like fighting's not for everyone, right? It's
Right.
just not. There's the journalist side of MMA, there's the I'm a coach side of MMA, there's the I want to get in shape so I do cardio kickboxing type of MMA, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then there's the ones that are athletes that are like, I'm the best in the fucking world and I'm ready to prove it, right? And there's alter ego, this second personality that you're attached to that tells you, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna train hard. I'm gonna train harder than the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. And eventually, somehow that's going to pay off. I don't know how, but it's going to. That level of delusion alone is its own, you know what I mean?
Right.
Own sickness. Um, but I mean, there's guys, man. I know guys that are fucking 10-2, and their two losses are against like 2-0 and 3-0 guys. It's like, how the fuck did you lose to a 2-0 guy if you're 10-0? Well, it's because the guys that like you fought to get to 10-0 had a total record of 3 wins and 99 losses. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
maybe those guys that are 2-0 fought two studs right off the bat and still were able to find a way to grind it out and make that win. Those guys are more dangerous than those other guys. They are, right?
Yeah.
Also, I mean, you look at his record, but like the way I look at it is like, hey, a dog put in a corner still bites. I mean, that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
I'm I'd be stupid to walk into a fight and say, "Oh, this is a cakewalk. This is easy." Do you know how many guys take fights that are just easy fights because they're like, "Oh, I don't even have to train. I can just show up and beat them." And then they lose, and you're like, "What the fuck? How'd you lose that fight?" It's like, "Oh, well, because I didn't take them serious." Why? Well, because I scheduled this fight because I knew it was an easy matchup. I didn't schedule this fight to think it was an easy matchup. So the thing is with Darius, my opponent, me and him were already supposed to fight.
Okay.
Me and him were supposed to fight for my pro debut a while ago,
Okay.
and he pulled out. He says he didn't. He pulled out. So what happened was he got offered to fight me. He verbally accepted it. All right. And
Mhm.
then when it was time to send contracts and stuff, he didn't sign it. He went MIA, to my knowledge, from what I heard from the middleman that was doing the deal.
Yeah.
And then what I was told by the promoter at the time from the organization that it was supposed to be for, is that Darius took a fight. Again, we go back to this short notice bullshit. He took a fight 2 weeks after agreeing with me on short notice against some dude, lost that fight, and then he was suspended for a certain period of time after that fight, which is why he wasn't
Mm,
allowed to compete with me. So then he got taken off of the card, which then took me away from the card.
okay.
So he signed, he verbally agreed to fight me, didn't sign the contract, and then went MIA. And then 2 weeks later, we found him on a poster for a completely different event that didn't work to
Mm,
his favor, and then he got pulled from that entire card that was supposed to be against me. And then I got fucked out of the opponent, which is exactly why the same reason I said to you is, why am I going to wait 4 months? Because what if this guy pulls out, right? What if this
right.
guy decides, hey, this shit's not for me, or he ends up taking an opportunity that might be better for him? I think my social media plays an advantage for me. It does. I think the way I carry myself, the way I talk, the way I dress, the way I act, the way I carry myself, the way I train. You notice a lot of these guys, they're not signing a lot of these like wrestlers and grapplers and these foreigners. They
Yeah.
don't want it. They don't want these boring fights. This is entertainment, dog. You know what I mean?
Correct.
They
Yeah.
want they want fights that fans look at that aren't even that don't know MMA and go, "Fuck, that was sick," right? That's why they like the Sugar. That's why they like the Connors, you know what I mean? It's why they liked the Cerrones at the time, right? Like
Right.
they were guys that were ready to bang at any moment, would fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, and you knew whether it was win, loss, or a draw, it was going to be a crazy fight and you were going to be entertained. My fighting style is that. My fighting style is if I'm up all three rounds, I'm still going to point straight to the center of that cage and give him his 10-second opportunity to put my lights out cold. And I know my coaches don't want that. My coaches are, no, man, come on, dude. You just
Play
secured
it
the win.
safe. You're
I'm like,
already up.
fuck that. We're right here. Let's bang it out. You know what I mean? Let's bang
Diana.
it out. And not always the best plan, right? Not always the best plan. And it can backfire. But I think the risk is worth the reward.
For
I want highlights and I want legacy. I don't want, oh, that's the dude that was best at hugging and praying and laying down and fucking just being a bum. You know what I mean? Just sitting
sure.
there and humping people's fucking legs. I don't want to be that guy. I just don't. So I'd rather be in the fire. And if I get knocked out, fuck it. But at least the fans are gonna remember the fight. You know what I mean? Look at, I mean, you look at what's his name, Gaethje, right? Gaethje got knocked out by Max Holloway, and then he just put on a fucking clinic. I was lucky enough to be with my buddy alive for that fight, Gaethje and Patty, and he put a whooping on Patty.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
he just got knocked out by Max. But no one even thinks about that because the first thing they think is, damn, that dude's entertaining. He's a warrior. He's fun to watch. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's cool, especially that kind of you're already, I mean, with you carrying, like how you said, that kind of following and that fan base already behind you. I mean, once you
Mm-hmm.
start making that noise and creating those highlights, like how you said in your fights, and especially now that you're a pro in your pro career, it's going to be a little
Yeah,
bit kind of easier to get those viral moments, as you would say, or
for
have
sure.
people talking
Hey,
about.
we're in the clipping world, dude. We're in the
Exactly.
clipping world, and I'm chasing clips. I'm chasing highlights. You know, so I mean, I if I don't put this guy out cold, I'm quite disappointed in myself to say the least. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And
we we
going into that, right? Your mentality and stuff like
yeah.
that. Do you kind of see this fight playing out more on the feet, in the clinch, or kind of anywhere it plays out, you feel
You
you're kind
know,
of with it?
I've learned my lesson of not calling those shots, and I'll tell you why. Is I know guys that are great strikers, right?
Right.
But then there's someone that finds their card, meaning they find their rhythm, they find their timing, and they start getting clipped, and all of a sudden they're Division 1 wrestlers, and all of a sudden they want to put a gi on and they want to start grappling, they want to start tickling toes and shit. It's just, it's not for me. I don't like it. It's boring. It's bummish. The fans don't want to see it. The organizations don't want to see it. Social media don't want to see it. And like I said, dude, I'm chasing clips and highlights. So, I mean, I would love to sit and bang. I think if he gets cracked with one clean shot, his lights are being put out. But if his lights for some reason are still on, he might be diving for the crotch and sniffing my nuts and hoping for the best. I mean,
He's gonna turn
that
into a fucking grappler,
you,
bro.
you'd be surprised how quickly you get cracked with the right shot, and all of a sudden you're shooting for a double leg. And
Not
all of a sudden, it's like, fuck, dude, did this guy go to fucking Iowa State? Like, why is this guy wrestling with me right now? I thought this guy was like almighty and shit and a great striker. And all of a sudden, he's sniffing my nuts and he's hoping for a takedown and he's
with all
laying
his
on me,
might
waiting
and
for the
might
last 30
punch.
seconds. Yeah, he's begging for his life. So I don't know. I mean, in a perfect world, we strike. If he wants to wrestle, I invite him. Let's wrestle, but in a perfect world, I would like to strike with him. I'd like to have those exchanges. I'd like to have a few words with them, talk to them a little bit in there, have some fun, um, keep the fans entertained, make sure that Dustin enjoys his front row seat, make sure that Anthony and everybody else there watching and everybody on UFC Fight Pass gets to enjoy that because there will be a clip. So I'm chasing clips, like I said. So there'll be clips, that's for sure.
I bet I'm gonna be sure to be on the lookout. I'm gonna be ready to clip that moment. So
Yeah, clip it. You
kind
could
of
be the first.
for sure, no doubt. Getting back into into how it's kind of been a delay into your career, been 7 years kind of
Yeah.
working through injuries and all of that.
Yeah.
Being around how you say the vets like Brandao, Holly Holm, and other UFC fighters like Steve Garcia and all that, getting to experience kind of like their momentum and seeing like how much they're growing. Does are you able to kind of how do you say it? What are you able to take that separates those who make it to the top and from those who kind of stay at the top and then end up falling off?
I think it's the commitment, right? I think the problem with MMA is people think it's like this specific recipe, right? The way I could explain it is like it's like hiring a dietitian and they send you the same meal plan to me as they do to you. Me and you are different people. Our recipe to success, whether it's in this sport or in life, is going to be different, right?
Yeah,
But the one common ground we're always going to have is what your work ethic is, right? Are you the guy that's late to every single practice? Are you the guy that only trains one session a day, 4 days a week, and then smokes weed and goes and drinks with his buddies at the fucking bars on the weekends and tells everybody, "Oh yeah, I'm a professional fighter." No, you're a fucking professional jerk off. Like nobody respects you, right?
right.
Um, so for me, I think it's the discipline, right? I think it's the discipline. I think it's the consistency. I mean, when I look like when you bring up those names like Holly and Steve and Diego, it's they all have the same exact thing in common. They love what they do. They're fully involved. They never stop learning, meaning they can learn something from an amateur. They can learn something from a pro. They can learn something from a white belt or a black belt or a blue belt. Like you the minute you stop learning is the minute you stop growing, right? And I think people have this ego because it's fighting. I mean, we all have egos, right? Sometimes I got a training partner, bro. He's 17, and from an outside perspective, you might go, "What are you going to learn from him? He's smaller than you. He's younger than you." It's like, but I'm still learning something. Like just because he's younger or just because he's smaller doesn't mean I can't. That's the difference between me and you is that's why I'm going up and you're going down because you think, oh, I can only train with A, B, and C. All right, well, good luck with A, B, and C. Because what happens when A, B, and C get hurt and then nobody wants to train with you because they're not used to training with you or they can't trust you as a training partner, right? You have to be able to trust your training partners too. I have to be able to look at my guys and say, hey, Steve, you have any injuries? Hey, Chris, you have any injuries? Hey, Duncan, you have any injuries? I have to be able to look at all my training partners and be like, hey, you have any injuries? And if they have an injury, I work around it, right? But I could still, you know, work on specific things. Oh, my leg hurts. Don't kick my leg. All right, then I'm working boxing today. I'm working angles today. Not then I'm fuck it. I'm not training. All right, well then you're a bum. And if you train like a bum and you are a bum, then you're a fucking bum. I don't know how else to put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But when you go back to asking that question, it's like, what do Steve, Holly, and these top people have in common? It's the discipline. It's they're constantly learning, they're constantly evolving, they're constantly here, and they're constantly doing something to better themselves, whether it's their cardio, their boxing, their kickboxing, their grappling. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It just, there's always some type of movement, right? There's always something you can be working on. When you feel like you have it all figured out, it's a downward spiral from there.
Okay. And kind of being more around Jackson Wink MMA, right? It's
Yeah.
a really known MMA gym in the MMA community in the world, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Has that kind of put you in a vision or perspective to where you kind of have seen a bit more influence and kind of a direction where you want to go more in your career, or kind of has it been a little bit back and forth type thing?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. So when I came into Jackson's, I thought to myself, well, now that I'm here, all the opportunities, all the doors are going to open. But the real reality that you get hit with is doors don't open unless you find a way to open them yourselves, right? You
Yeah,
need to earn those keys to those doors. Does that make sense?
yeah,
You don't just walk in here and coach Greg Jackson goes, "Hey Matt, good to see you. It's your first day. We're going to send you to the UFC." Like no one's saying that. No one's giving you those opportunities. Those opportunities come from you showing up every single fucking day, busting your balls, working your fucking tail off, and the coaches noticing it. And the coaches then say, "Damn, you work your ass off. Like, let me open this door for you and give you this opportunity." But those opportunities aren't coming unless you're working your ass off, right?
right.
It's like imagine walking into a job, into a company and saying, "Hey, I want to be the CEO." It's like, what have you done? You've done nothing, right? If you
Yeah.
want this position, show me why you deserve this position. And the way you prove it is by putting in the fucking work, showing up on time. You know what I mean? Making everybody's else's job easier for them, so you can take the stress off of the company and continue to allow it to grow, right? So that's what I'm doing as a guy here in the gym is I train with everybody and anybody, whether you're an amateur, whether you're a pro, whether you're in the UFC or you're an upcomer like myself. I train with everybody and I learn from everybody. And I'm a student of the game and I'm not a teacher of the game.
Okay. And going into this, right, after March 22nd, you get the win, everything goes to
Yeah.
plan. What do you kind of, or what do you and your team envision kind of the next year within the sport looks like for you?
I mean, activity. I'm chasing activity. I'm chasing highlights. I'm chasing clips, right? I'm
Right.
chasing I'm chasing an opportunity, right? Really.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old and people think that's old. And I'm like, fuck, man, if I'm old, and I mean, I know I get called unk around here sometimes, man, but fuck, you know? Um, but I mean, truthfully, I mean, at the end of the day, I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror and be content with what I've done, right?
Yeah.
I have to be able to look in the mirror and say, you've done everything. And I'm not there. I'm not there yet. Right. And the
Okay.
only way to get there is to continue to chase this dream. And this dream is to get to the UFC. I mean, the dream is to put my family and the people around me in a position where there's no such thing as financial stress. There's no such thing as, I can't buy this because it's too expensive, or we can't go out to dinner because I can't afford this. I don't want to be in that position. I don't like that feeling of that position, even though that position is what allows that fire to continue to like burn you, right?
Right.
Um, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm chasing activity, and the activity is we're gonna go in there March 22nd. I go out there and I put this guy's fucking lights out. We clip that. We enjoy that clip for the weekend. You know what I mean? Maybe eat a little fucking pints of ice cream, and then we're back in the gym and we're right back to work. In a perfect world, I leave that fight unscathed and we fight four more times this year. I mean, I would love to fight, four times this year, truly. I
Okay.
mean, whether that's finishing up the year or the beginning of next year with a title shot with APFC, maybe, uh, something along those lines. Because I truly, 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 truly believe one thing I don't lack is confidence. I just don't lack it, right? There's
Right.
cockiness and there's confidence. Cockiness is, you know, when you think you're the best, but you've done nothing to prove it, and that you think you're the best, but you don't put the work in for it. Confidence is knowing that you've showed up because you're disciplined, you've sacrificed everything, and you've put in the work, and you're allowed to be confident in the ability to do something because you've proven to yourself that you can, right?
Right.
So for me, it's like I leave this fight with a nice clip. I get to enjoy that clip for a weekend, smoke a cigar, eat a pint of ice cream, you know, sit home at the ranch, hang out the horses and shit. And then we're right back to the gym and, back in the gym, back in the dojo, back in the dungeon, whatever you want to call it. And right back to the same rhythm, staying healthy, stay moving. And I fight four more times, and maybe I close this year 4-0, and next year I fight for a title in APFC 5-0, and then we're straight to contenders. I mean, I think it's very possible. I really do. I think
Yeah.
I'm at that point right now in my career where I'm pushing corners. I'm pushing boundaries right now. The rounds with these guys in the gym that are the best in the world are becoming harder and harder rounds in a good way, right?
Right.
Um, it used to be like, all right, I need a southpaw, Matt. You want to train? And it's like, yeah, sure. And fucking just beat my ass and call it a day. And I go home, pack a fucking lunch while you're at it, dude. You know what I mean? But it's no longer that anymore, right? These are competitive rounds. These are like free UFC fucking fight night events at the gym. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I want it to feel like I'm in the fire, you know? I
Yeah.
want to feel that torturous mentality here in the gym, because the more you suffer here is the less you suffer there, right?
Yeah.
And if he wants to make me suffer in there, then that's cool because I've already suffered in here. I already know what that fucking feels like. I've suffered in my life more than fucking 90% of people. So if you think you're gonna bring me to waters and drown me, bro, pack a fucking lunch, bro. Put your floaties on, dog, because it's not happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, so, I mean, cut all that shit to the side and let's see. Let's just hope he shows up. That's it. You show up and I'll do my job. That's it. That's all I can do at this point, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, you've been putting in the
So,
work. You've been waiting. I mean, you've been doing what you're supposed to as a fighter, especially.
yep,
I mean, just like you said,
yep,
I mean, it all comes down to the other side, and hopefully he
yep.
doesn't do it a second time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we're good on this one though. I think we'll be all right on this one. You
You
know,
know, going with like
I think we'll be
APFC,
good on this one.
do you have like a is it like a three fight
Yeah.
contract with them, or how is that looking like?
No, so yeah, I actually don't have an any fight contract, meaning I don't have 3 fights, five fights, 10 fights with him. I have singular contracts, meaning
Okay.
I fight one time and then I renegotiate. You know, I don't know how it is for everybody else. I'm not a big fan of staying locked in to an opportunity just because simply like, let's say I fight this guy, right? I go and clip this guy and put his lights out, right?
Yeah.
After that fight, they might send me another opportunity, and that opportunity might not present itself. Or let's say, oh fuck, he gets injured, and I'm waiting another 4 months for the next event, right? And all this, I just don't have time on my hand. I don't want to be 36 years old with only 3 pro fights, right?
Yeah.
So I've made it very clear to every organization I've ever spoken with, I'm not staying attached to a contract, a multi-fight contract in any direction, because at this very moment, I have no interest in opportunities falling through. So I go ahead and take this fight. Perfect example is I won't speak on who because I'm not putting my business out there,
No, yeah.
um, but I mean, I already have a fight opportunity for the second week of May.
Okay.
So there's a chance that I go and fucking starch this guy and put his lights out. And then 5 weeks later, I'm fighting again.
Okay, that would actually
Right.
be kind of, I mean, based on your
It's
plans, like how you,
perfect.
yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, perfect for your fight plan for the year and stuff like that. And I mean, like you said, I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully it does go in May. You do get that opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm pretty sure APFC comes back to to the city in July. So again, we're talking about activity. I mean, I'm chasing activity. That's what I'm chasing, right?
Okay,
I'm chasing clips and I'm chasing activity. So, I mean, if we could be active here we are in 3 weeks, we fight. 5 weeks later, we fight again. And then 7 weeks later, I fight again. I mean, it sounds too perfect, right? So
no, yeah.
I'm trying to hope and pray that that's the direction it continues to go.
So fight night comes. What is something the fans would you would like for the fans to remember when they hear Matt Bilella, when they hear your name? What is something that you want to leave the fans with? What impression?
Fuck, man, that kid's a stud. Not for his mustache, but for his fighting. You know,
No, yeah.
I want them to go out. No, truly. I mean, all jokes aside, I want them to go out there. I want them to see me fight and say, "That's the guy I want to see in the UFC next. That's the guy I would spend my hard-earned money that I make from my 9 to 5. I'm gonna take off my sick days and go watch his UFC debut, like live. That's the type of energy I expect and want from my fans. Um, I don't want them to look at me and be like, ah, fuck. Like, if I wanted to go watch a fucking snooze fest of a fight, I'd go watch somebody else. But it's just, that's not my fighting style. It never will be. I know my coaches don't like it, but I don't try to just secure wins. I try to finish fights, and I finish fights. And, I could be up 3 rounds, and I'm still going to give them the opportunity, like I said, to point to the center and let's bang it out. Right. So I
Right.
think fans respect that. I think they appreciate that. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Okay. Is there any specific message that you would have for fans or anybody that's going to be tuning in on March 22nd?
Get your popcorn ready. Don't leave your seat. I think it's gonna be a quick one. I think it's gonna. I don't see it going past a single round. Uh, I appreciate everybody that's spent their hard-earned money to buy a ticket. I mean, we sold a lot of VIP tickets this time around. So obviously there was something there in that last fight, even though it happened the way it did, even though it, translated the way it did. I think there was still an energy about me that people respected and appreciated.
Right.
Um, and I think there's something called an it factor, and I think I have an it factor. Not everyone has an it factor. Some people are, just super that reliant on their skill set, and they don't understand the entertainment side. They don't understand the social media side. They don't understand the build up. You know what I mean? They don't understand that. I think there was something about it because even when I walked out to that fight, if you watch that fight back, you see Holly Holm and you see Steve Garcia instantly standing up and videoing my walkout. You see Anthony Pettis. Go look at the fight. Anthony Pettis. I want to say there was 21 fights on that card.
Yeah.
He only stood up for my fight and recorded my walkout. Nobody else's. Mine. Nobody else's. That I think in itself presents a aura, an energy, a feeling of like something about this kid is special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something about his presentation, the way he carries himself, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, even Sergio, the matchmaker, and them, they were giggling. I was like, "What's so fucking funny?" No, he's like, just the way you carry yourself. I've never seen someone carry themselves like this. Like maybe in the UFC, but like on a regional show, like you're sitting here fucking suit and tie, glasses, you know, highly spoken, you know what I mean? And you haven't fought in 8 years and you're just very confident and you're sitting here on like I mean APFC right now is a top 3 regional show.
No, yeah, for sure. It's
You have
making waves.
LFA, Fury, and APFC. Those are the 3 biggest shows right now, based off of viewership, following, and ratings. LFA, Fury, and APFC. Those are the top 3 in that order. So, for me to take a fight after 8-year layoff, fight on the opening of UFC Fight Pass, have everyone standing up, and even if you didn't like me, you were like, "Fuck, man, there's something about this kid that's special, and I like it." You were there and you watched, right? So I think they're going to tune in and watch this fight. I think they will. Once those braids get locked into place, man, those braids are tight on the head. It's a whole different game in there.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's about all the questions I have to have. I want to thank you for your time, Matt. Thank you for the opportunity
No,
to
thank you.
interview you.
I'm sorry that what happened happened.
No, yeah, you're all good, man. This is Sure Wins MMA,
Yeah.
bringing the fight fans closer to the fighters. Be sure to check out Matt on March 22nd on APFC, going against an opponent and for his highly anticipated, I would say official debut now, since the no contest wouldn't really count that one.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I mean, if you ask the fans, I'm 1-0. I'm 1-0 in my eyes.
no, yeah, for sure. I mean, like you
I'm
said,
one. I'm
he
one to
should have
know in
gotten
my eyes.
back up. He should have kept going, but there was a reason he didn't
Yeah.
want to.
Hey, let's make no mistake about it though. That ref gave him 5. I want to end it here so people are very aware of this. That ref gave him a 5-minute recovery, and he refused to take the 5 minutes to even try to recover. I want to make that very, very clear. He was spoken in his native language, which is Spanish. Okay, the ref spoke to his coach and to him and said, "Hey, we understand the situation. You turned your head. I'm not gonna take away a point. I'm going to give him a warning. If it happens again, it will be a point. You have 5 minutes to recover. Please recover." He did not want to recover. Instead, he wanted to go into the back room, put a neck brace on like an absolute pussy, and then walk out to the fight and watch the rest of the card in a neck brace like a bum. I want to make that very, very clear. But go ahead and you could finish your outro now. I
No,
just
yeah,
needed to
no
let the
worries.
fans know that.
I'm excited. I'm excited to tune in on March 22nd, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited to watch you and hopefully watch you get that clip, man.
We chasing clips, brother. We chasing clips.
No, yeah.
I hope you're the first one to get to it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be for sure watching and getting ready to clip this. So don't worry, I'm gonna be trying to be
I
one.
appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you for your time
Thank you,
again,
brother.
and thank you, man.